So who gets the house after a divorce? Hi, I'm Matt O'Connell, and in this video, I'm going to discuss the issue of what happens to the marital home in a divorce. How to handle the marital home is often one of the most contentious issues facing couples in a divorce. If a couple can't agree, then the judge will decide what happens to the house after a series of trials. If you're paying an attorney to represent you, these court appearances can get very costly. It's better for everyone if a couple comes to an agreement regarding the marital home without involving the court. Now, common options include selling the home and splitting the proceeds, one spouse buying out the other, or some combination like letting your wife live in the house until the kids are out of high school and then selling the house after that. Some men agree to let their wives keep the house and all the equity that goes with it in lieu of monthly alimony. Now, this is known as a lump sum alimony payment. It's important that couples get creative and come up with a deal that's fair to both parties. Options for a creative solution are infinite and limited only by your imagination. If you're getting a divorce and can't agree on what to do with the marital home, then a judge will decide for you and issue a court order. So how is this judge likely to handle this particular issue? It depends on your situation and the judge's mood at the time. The laws around home division are intentionally vague, so each judge has flexibility. Typically, the judge will do everything possible to minimize the impact of your divorce on your children. The judge doesn't want their lives disrupted. The judge would prefer to see school-aged children remain in the house and not have to change school districts. So the question then becomes, which parent should live in the house with the children? The vast majority of the time, that's the mother. So if the mother has custody of the children, it's all but certain that the judge will rule that your wife should live in the house until your youngest graduates high school. Once your youngest graduates high school, the house can then be sold and the proceeds split. Now, while she's living in the home, she's expected to pay the mortgage, the property taxes, and all household expenses. If you're not living in the house, you're not responsible for any of the household expenses, including the mortgage and property taxes, even though you remain listed on the title. However, you will still be responsible for capital improvements. So if, for example, you and your wife decide to replace the roof or buy a new furnace, you would share those costs 50-50. Now, what happens if she has primary custody of the children and she wants to live in the house with the kids, but she can't afford the house? Now remember that she'll be receiving child support from you and possibly alimony. If the combination of her income plus the money she receives from you isn't enough for her to afford the house, then the house is typically put on the market. If she's awarded the right to live in the house exclusively, but she doesn't pay the mortgage, keep in mind that in the eyes of the mortgage company, you are still legally responsible for the mortgage because you're still listed on the mortgage. The mortgage company doesn't care about your divorce. So even though she's been ordered by family court to pay the mortgage, you'll be the one receiving the angry letter from the mortgage company if she doesn't pay. You'll also suffer the hit on your credit report if she's late with her payment. This is yet another example of men in divorce having no authority or control over the situation, but being held fully accountable when things go wrong. As long as your name remains on the mortgage, you'll be held accountable, even though she's been ordered to pay by the judge. At this point, you have two options. Pay her mortgage in addition to your child support and alimony just to protect your credit score, or take the matter back to court and ask the judge to force the sale of the house. Now, when my clients find themselves in the situation where the ex-wife is living in the house, but his name is still on the mortgage, I recommend that they insist on a clause in their divorce decree that states if the ex-wife is ever 60 days behind on the mortgage, the house will automatically be placed on the market on day 61. This way, you're somewhat protected from the actions of a financially irresponsible ex-wife. Your credit score will take a hit, but at least your house won't go into foreclosure. Another often overlooked issue is the tax deduction. If you both own the property and you're both listed on the title and mortgage, who should claim the tax deduction for mortgage interest and property taxes? Should you split the deduction because you're co-owners? Should your wife take the entire deduction because she's the one paying the mortgage and property taxes? Or should you claim the entire deduction every year because you have the higher income and will benefit most by having this deduction? Now here too, the law is often ambiguous. So you and your wife have to decide how you're going to handle this issue, or the judge will decide for you. The issue of who gets the house after a divorce isn't dictated by legal statutes. It's important to remember that you have options. Try to be flexible and work with your wife to come up with a win-win solution that works for everybody. Now, I have hundreds of divorce tips like this. Please subscribe to my channel to see more informative videos like this one. I give my clients the knowledge they need to take command of their divorce so they'll get the best result possible for a fraction of the cost. I show my clients how to settle the divorce quickly and avoid court. To learn how I can help you get through your divorce quickly, confidently, and easily for less than the cost of just 1 hour with an attorney, please click on the link in the description below. Your divorce doesn't have to be difficult if you just apply a few common sense tips. Please check the description below to learn more.